We've got a Len Peralta who's exhausted from sending out 1 million Geek Week trading card packages.
It's been quite a week.
Justin Robert Young, who doesn't know what time zone he's in.
Again, this is an hour ago was the third time I woke up.
Yeah,
I woke up in Dallas, and then I went to sleep on a plane, and then I woke up in San Francisco, and then I got to my house, and I went to sleep, and now I've woken up. I have no idea where I am and what my name is.
Yeah.
Where were you?
So it's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Tech News Show. If you would like to listen live, press 1 now. If you would like to watch live, press 2 now. If you would like to download later, press 3 now. If you would like to support, go to bit.ly/helpdtns.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, May 8th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Mr. Justin Robert Young, official co-host, filling in for Darren Kitchen, who's around, but he's got some stuff to do. He's got a trip that he's about to take, so Justin's in on a Friday with us. Thank you, Justin Robert Young. How's it going?
Oh, man, it is great to be here, and I will do my best to not muddle up the absolute perfection of the triangle offense between Darren, yourself, and, of course, the indispensable point guard of the Friday shows.
Yeah, man-to-man, zone, whatever you throw at him, Len Peralta will draw it for you.
Yay, it's me. Go Cavs, by the way.
Best of luck to your sports ball team in its face-off against the Chicago Bovine things.
It's going to be we're going to be 2 up tonight, after tonight. It's going to be a great weekend.
You promise that?
Absolutely.
Promise up to. All right. Excellent. Can't wait to see what you're drawing. Of course, we're going to tell you about a way that you can get a trading card with my face on it later on in the show that Len has drawn. But let's start off. I don't know, Justin. I was thinking headlines.
Yeah, good call.
Nokia may or may not want to sell its HERE mapping division, but plenty of folks are interested in buying it. Reuters reports its sources say Daimler, BMW, and the Audi division of Volkswagen have formed a consortium to submit an indicative bid for the HERE Maps division. New York Times sources say that Uber also submitted a bid. That one, they say, is worth around $3 billion. Book value for the HERE mapping division is about 2 billion euros, so about $2.1 billion. So Uber is ready to overpay. It's surge pricing on the HERE Maps division, I guess.
Yeah, I hope that they had to enter it in 3.0 billion before they hit submit. Yeah, the thing with Uber, I mean, it's very obvious as cars continue to get smarter and smarter why Daimler, BMW, and Audi would want to do it. For Uber, it's curious because I've always found Uber's weakness in maps to be more about real-time traffic data. Like, for example, Uber's maps will more often want to put me on the highway during rush hour than necessarily not know where things are. But this is one of the things about Nokia that you've heard for years and years and years, is that their maps are pretty much the most coveted, pristine things that aren't already in use with, let's say, Google.
Yeah, and there are plenty of devices that use HERE Maps. There are plenty of services that use HERE Maps. But who gets to own HERE Maps is a whole different situation. And it's pretty much breaking up to be technology companies and their big bags of cash versus the auto industry. And the auto industry is very motivated not to let these things fall into the hands of an Uber, or there's been rumors out there about an Apple. There's no confirmed sources talking about Apple. But either one of those would probably shut the auto industry out, or at least raise the cost of using those maps.
Because that's the keep away move for Uber, is that they can make every other similar app to Uber not good overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
Does web surfing make you hungry?
Sure does.
You're in luck. According to The Verge, Google has integrated place an order option when you search for nearby restaurants. The option lets you choose from various services and complete the order via the services on the website. The first 6 delivery providers in the U.S. are Seamless, Grubhub, Eat24, Delivery.com, Beyond Menu, and MyPizza.com. Google hopes to add more providers in the future, and hopefully when you order the same Chinese menu item 6 days in a row, it'll have the little, this result is only viewable to you below it.
Yeah, it'll just become a Google Now card that you can tap. Boom. Orders your Chinese food. Actually, I looked up Eddie's, One of my favorite Italian restaurants, which I have ordered delivery through Grubhub before. It didn't show up. I did the search on both the desktop and on mobile, and neither place did I get the order button. So
that's always a rollout thing, though.
Yeah, exactly.
For Google.
Reuters has revealed that Alibaba is in talks to buy 20% of Indian smartphone maker Micromax Informatics. The deal would help Alibaba expand to the world's third largest smartphone market. Micromax is the leaders in the Indian market, one of the leaders. Alibaba, like many companies, would like to get a foothold in the Indian market, so taking a big chunk of one of the top smartphone makers there is probably a good move for them.
Open sesame. 9 to 5, Google reports that starting today, Friday, owners of the Samsung Galaxy 6S and S6 Edge. Wow.
One of those there.
And the S6 Edge can order the Gear VR Innovator Edition online for $199 via the Samsung store or bestbuy.com. The headset won't be in Best Buy retail outlets until May 15th.
And just to be fair to Justin, folks, he has been asleep and woken up 3 times today across several time zones and including an airline flight. So he's not entirely certain that this isn't happening inside a virtual reality headset right now.
I mean, seriously, this is like the she sells seashells by the store of tech lines. Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. Come on.
There, see, you nailed it.
Now, I mean, it only took me 17. It only took me 199 tries, like the amount of money I would need to buy the Gear VR Innovator Edition.
Which is it's a really good product, actually. And I kind of wish that my wife, she has a Note 4, so I can get the old Gear VR. But now I'm kind of wishing that she had an S6, or that I did. I guess I don't have to rely on her to buy all the Android devices.
Yeah. You can't just go out and buy it yourself, Tom.
I have an Android tablet myself. It's not like I don't know how to use it. Fast Company writes up the new app called Thread from SimCity creator Will Wright. It's a slideshow app, or a storytelling app, or a social network. Kind of depends on what article about it you read. Wright called it an app for making, quote, multi-image creations for anything from webcomics to logging your tropical vacation to useful how-tos, end quote. Basically what you do is you take up to 30 images, choose to use any of a number of filters, borders, overlays, things like stickers. You can allow people to follow you. You can follow other people. You can favorite their threads and leave comments. And you can also add links and location markers. Thread, for whatever it's going to be best for, is available today on iOS in the United States.
You ever get the sense that when people are like so smart, they have ideas that if you were sitting right next to them, they could explain it and have it be really, really compelling and you would get it immediately. But when they try to distill it into a 3-line thing, the kind of explanation that we get here from Will Wright, it just sort of seems like, oh, okay. I mean, this seems like a cool idea if I was in your head, but I don't live there.
Hold on, I'm making a thread of you explaining that.
I don't know. I mean, it'll be curious. I mean, like anything, any kind of content creation app, it will depend on what the content created on it does and whether or not that lives to tell the tale. Because, you know, what would Twitter be if people didn't have cool Twitter accounts doing cool Twitter things, right?
Yeah, there. I just put 3 photos together. Now I should add a hashtag? This is too hard. Let's go on to the next story.
Nintendo notes for its first smartphone title will come out later this year, with 4 more promised for March 2017. So, 5 apps in 2 years. Nintendo president and CEO Satoru Iwata says that's not a small number because they intend to make every app a hit. A hit, he says. He says, quote, if we do not aim to achieve a significant result, it would be meaningless for us to do it at all.
Hitsville, Nintendo.
A hit.
Okay, it's really tempting, and in fact, I cannot resist the temptation to poke a little fun at that, but it's the right attitude. When you've got Mario and Zelda and the whole stable full of characters that they have, and you have top designers, and you have a company that knows how to make smartphones, I mean, they are doing this right. So 5 apps over 2 years, hell yeah. As long as they are making everyone, if they're focusing on them and making them great, I mean, that's one of the things that made Blizzard so successful, was not just churning out a bunch of games, but focusing on them and saying, we're going to make this as good as it possibly can, and we're not going to put it out until it's ready.
I'm so glad that you brought up Blizzard, because that would be the comp that I think they should be looking at. On top of that, I don't know if 5 to me sounds high to polish up and release 5 really, really good games. I wouldn't be. I hope. Here's what I hope: that those 5 are different, that they're not all side scrollers, that they're not all a certain type of game, they're not all super casual, they're not all super immersive. Try out different things, because what Nintendo has, and you saw this with the Universal deal this week, is tremendous IP that people want to connect to. Make different levels of entry for that universe.
Yeah, I mean, let's get away from every app is 99 cents and we just churn them out or have a freemium level. These things can be $10 if you do what Justin's saying and you make them interesting, make them different, you make them compelling. I mean, they have to execute on all that stuff, and I'm not saying they will, and I'm not saying it's easy, but I think that is the right way for Nintendo to go about it, personally.
Absolutely.
Wall Street Journal reports that Russia and China have signed an agreement not to conduct cyber attacks against each other, as well as jointly contract technology that may destabilize the internal political and socioeconomic atmosphere, disturb public order, or interfere with internal affairs of the state. The deal includes information sharing between law enforcement, exchange technologies, and ensures security of information infrastructure. Probably more significant in the geopolitical landscape as a pivot towards China on Russia's part, but it is interesting that cybersecurity is now one of those platforms that 2 countries can basically sign a treaty over.
Cybersecurity as a bargaining chip, for which, if this is a bargaining chip, I would liken it to a hollowed out nickel. Like, I don't know if Russia or China really have it in their best interest to not spy or hack each other. I don't know if any major G8 nation has it in their best interest to not spy and hack their neighbors.
Let's spy and hack each other less, and those other guys in the U.S. and Europe more, is kind of what this might mean.
Maybe so, yeah. Maybe they're tagging up. BizTech Africa reports MTN Nigeria has made all Nigerian apps free until May 31st for its customers. The Aptitude campaign requires users to text the word app to 131. App developers who want their app featured in the MTN portal should visit cp.nexva.com/r/MTN.
And that's just the developers portal. You just log in there, and then you can, I believe, find the platform. But an interesting, in light of all of the internet.org stuff going on, an interesting take for a carrier to be doing something where, like, you know what, we're just going to make these apps free. A bunch of local apps, encourage local developers, get people using their smartphones more. Interesting approach there.
It would be really, really rad if we lived in a world where carriers in America fought with each other to the point where we were getting crazy, you can download all the apps we have for free kind of days. That would be really, really rad.
That's pretty cool, I have to admit. We get a lot of our news from our subreddit at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. ManageMike submitted the top subreddit post from Ars Technica. This one goes out to the chip lovers in the audience. Yesterday at the AMD Financial Analyst Day, CEO Lisa Su said that AMD will shift from being a bargain chip maker to focusing on high performance. Among the announcements, Zen will be AMD's sole CPU microarchitecture, launching at the high end first with a new series of FX chips. All desktop CPUs will use the new AM4 socket, which introduces DDR4 support. That ends Project Skybridge, by the way. And ARM-based Opteron A1100 server chips are finally going to ship. I'll believe it when they ship. And a new flagship GPU with high bandwidth memory will launch later this quarter. If that doesn't mean anything to you, then just think of it as AMD's trying really hard to get back into competition with Intel.
Hard to kick that race to the bottom, right?
Yeah, exactly. It worked for them for so long, for so well, and now they're like, oh, wait, we're not making any money down here at the bottom because we're the only one.
We hit the bottom.
Yeah, moment of clarity for AMD.
Habichuelacondulce pointed out the Wall Street Journal article on CBS earnings, which dropped 195. But CEO Les Moonves always has something interesting to say. This time he mentioned the company will roll out an internet-delivered version of the Showtime Premium TV channel in the coming months.
That's 19%, by the way. That is not Justin's fault. Instead of a percent sign, We got a
Oh,
5
sorry.
in there. So they dropped 19%.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Either way, they dropped. But Les Moonves, with his Les Moonves-like magic, said, don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to us launching an HBO Now competitor soon, without any real details.
Fresh organizing one of the most boring boxing fights in...
that was HBO Showtime joint.
No, he was
purchased through Showtime, right?
The reason why everything went. He basically became the rabbi that everybody would go to because they hate each other, Showtime and HBO. He was the one that was the mediator and helped get the deal done.
Gotcha.
Like right down to the fact that he had to yell at Floyd Mayweather's people because they pulled the credentials for ESPN and CNN reporters who had been harsh on him for his domestic violence.
Oh man,
Nice.
Wow. Yeah, I have to say that I think I still probably have some stock in CBS, so I should probably disclose that. I think it's in a retirement fund that was, when I worked at CNET, made up of only CBS stock. But it's not really worth that much.
By the way, I'm booking mariachi gigs, so if anybody wants to hire me for the week.
We can replace the headline music with that. All right, another story out there today is about Spotify's revenues soaring, some people say. Reuters got a hold of some filings from the Luxembourg Company Registry. Spotify is not a public company, so they have to do earnings reports and stuff like that. But this filing shows that Spotify had 1 billion euros in revenue in 2014. That was up 45% year over year. They'd had an operating loss of 165 million euros, which is roughly 17% of their revenue. And that was 2 times the 91 million euros that they lost the previous years. But in the report, Spotify says they are spending that on expansion into new markets and on product. So it seems like people are reacting to that as a reasonable investment in the business going forward. Spotify has 60 million active users, but here's the rub, Justin. Only 15 million of them pay. So if Spotify is making €1 billion a year,
yeah,
and you've got Apple about to get in this game, and we've reported previously about them trying to cajole the labels into not agreeing to free tier music anymore. So far as one allegation said they offered Universal Music to pay them the amount they would get from YouTube if they stopped licensing their music to YouTube in the free YouTube tier. Does this mean that streaming is making enough money now for people to actually fight over?
The short answer is yes, and if they're not fighting, they are brandishing their knives in their gang formations and snapping toward each other in the back alley, because it is very close to a situation that I think will effectively change the way we look at streaming services. Understand that Spotify is still not turning a profit, no matter what they've made in revenue, and part of the reason why is because of investment in other. In web streaming and stuff like that. That's not necessarily the greatest vote of confidence that just plowing ahead on people, getting these plays that Spotify offers them is going to be a gigantic revenue driver. On the opposite end, when Apple made the Beats deal, we talked about on this show that this was in large part because Jimmy Iovine is a deal maker. He has connections and he will make things happen. This is the fruit of that labor. He wants Apple/Beats Audio's subscription service to be something that steps out of the gate as a major player, if not the dominant force in the industry, overnight. We've already seen some of the rumblings in terms of the artists on getting paid through these streaming services, which has led to Taylor Swift leaving Spotify, Tidal making its play as a platform for which artists get paid. The big question is, now that the interest has peaked and the money has at least gotten to where people want to fight over it, where does the industry break from here?
And that's really interesting because, yes, for the past couple of years, the message that has been beaten into your head is those streaming services aren't paying artists. And it's been mostly the labels saying that. Definitely independent and small artists have not been leading the charge on that, especially because independent and small artists get most of, if not all, of the money from any kind of music they sell, and they can use the exposure that a streaming service provides a lot more than an established artist. However, recently we've seen and heard a few interesting things that this debate may be turning. For instance, Tidal comes out with the big thing of like, hey, it's Jay-Z and my friends, and we're going to get artists paid. And the backlash is, you guys make plenty of money. What are you complaining about? What are you whining about? That, you know, the audience isn't buying your line, that you are the artists that are hurting. We also have Edgar Berger, international chairman and chief executive of Sony Music Entertainment, on a conference call back on April 14th when asked by the Globe and Mail if major labels would consider changing their agreements with artists to revise streaming income structures, saying, that's an issue of scale. As streaming grows, he said, you will discover that this will be diminishing in terms of comments from the artist's side. So that is the first label executive I've seen start to change the tune of, hold on, we're starting to see enough money, €1 billion a year from Spotify is being made, that maybe we don't want to be promoting the artists getting more of a chunk of this paycheck. And he's absolutely right. It's a matter of scale.
Well, what's fascinating about this debate is that, like, yes, there is more money, but we really are, I mean, all the players are really fighting over a currently meagerly producing farm that they hope will continue to produce, or they at least want to have the lead in shaping where it goes. Because I think if you are some of the larger artists, including, you know, if you are the Jay-Z's of the world, you need to set up a value proposition wherein you say, I give you exclusive stuff and you pay me for it. And that maybe there is always at least something in our mind where we are getting a bonus value added content. But the real reason that you're paying this money, much in the same way that Netflix has the value proposition of, oh, I get to see House of Cards, I get to see Orange is the New Black, I get to see Daredevil. And then also when I'm bored, I get to see a documentary about math or something. That is what they need to switch to, as opposed to having it just be a catalog situation. And if you're Apple, who, by the way, this is the most fascinating story of the year so far, is this behind the scenes fight between Spotify and Apple, because Spotify takes no jive and Apple is about as powerful and cutthroat as you get. But it's so funny.
Yeah, put it just for a second. Put this in perspective. Apple's entire iPhone business in China makes more money than the global record industry.
Yes. And so they got a big bat to swing, and they want this field. If you look, you know, you parse these stories, and you have Spotify in one of them saying, hey, look, we're really awesome. We kept royalties down. We tamped them down. We didn't give any more than we had to. And then on the other hand, talking about Apple coming into the space, they're like, you know, they're cutthroat all the way up to Tim Cook. And it's like, well, you know, listen, one hand washes the other at some point. Everybody is really, like, the margins for everybody in this fight right now are so thin that nobody wants to give an inch.
And let me be clear. My perspective on this is that you're going to be fed a lot of BS, and you already have, about artists starving, artists not getting paid enough, artists not being able to make money. And there are definitely, and I don't want to minimize them, examples of that happening, of artists getting screwed over for whatever reason. But this is a $14.97 billion industry. There is money to be made in this industry. It may be less than the high of $37 billion back in 2000. That's what they're really complaining about is, wow, we only have $15 billion kicking around instead of $37 billion. But there is plenty of demand for music out there. Here's the interesting stats from IFPI for 2014. Downloads fell 8% in 2014. Streaming grew 39% worldwide. Digital radio, just digital radio, not terrestrial radio. Digital radio grew 31%. Even LPs grew 2%. That number gets overplayed. But you are seeing growth in the right areas, it's not being monetized properly. And that's what we're starting to see, I think, Justin, is Apple coming in and saying, well, we know how to monetize this stuff. Get rid of those free streaming tiers. And of course, that helps Apple. You see Spotify saying, hey, it is a matter of scale. You're absolutely right, Edgar Berger. Our free streaming tier is essential because that's what gets people in the door, and we will convert them to paying customers more and more. And now you're seeing artists saying, it might be better for me to have some fragmentation in the market because that allows me to compete on royalties and make a little more money. That's not necessarily the best for the consumer because unlike a Netflix, we don't want to have to subscribe to a couple different services to get all our tunes. We just want to get it in one place.
Sure, and we want to. I think that where we will go with this is we are going to go with the service that is aligned with some of our favorite artists. We are going to, like, if let's say Apple, which I think Apple will win the Taylor Swift stakes of having her music on their service, and I think that there are going to be exclusivity windows. That's going to just be what happens as we go forward. Is certain artists will have preferred music streaming services that they will release their album first on. We've already seen parts of that with what Jay-Z did with the Magna Carta, where he went to Samsung and made a deal for an app that got to exclusively stream it before it went on sale for everybody. I think that this is just where the music industry is headed. And, if you're Taylor Swift, she's got some blank space, baby, and she'll write your name.
She'll write her own name on that check that she cashes. And she endorses it on the back. Is that too much? This is a really interesting pivot point that we're identifying now, where streaming is no longer the enemy. Streaming is the cash cow. And they're going to start trying to slice it up and figure out how to apportion.
It is the cash cow, but it's more like the cash calf, right? Like it's there.
Absolutely.
It's growing, but it's not like there is this treasure trove that they want to divide up immediately, right?
And it's just starting to produce milk, and you don't want to slaughter it for the steak quite yet.
No, you absolutely don't. And if you're a mega artist, you don't want the patterns that are set now to go on forever. You need the market to evolve.
And as TVZ Gun just wrote in the chat room, why buy the cow when you can get the streams for free?
That's what my mama told me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Spotify wants to make money off their free tier. They just don't make enough money. And so that's why you see somebody like Apple going, we don't want to sell ads. So let's get rid of all the competition in that level. But even if they're not successful, free streaming tiers can still make money, and there's still ways to do exclusives that aren't available on free streaming tiers and things like that. So get ready to see a lot of lies, a lot of emotional manipulation, a lot of special deals, and a lot of confusion in music over the next couple of years.
Listen, it's going to be ugly over the next few years, but hopefully in that chaos we do get some really rad products that I think are going to be more compelling than what we see with the tenuous free streaming proposition where your favorite artist can come and go. And I think we are going to see more stable finished products in the next 2 years in streaming music than we have the previous 10 since Pandora.
Get ready for the meta service. That says, are you subscribing to Spotify, Tidal, and the Apple Beats? We'll combine them in one interface for you.
Look at that. Maybe Sonos decides to go a little bit more software.
Or somebody like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Idea.
Our pick of the day comes from Rich from lovely Cleveland. We had the pick of Tubes a while back, and that reminded Rich of an excellent book. He says, I think your audience would enjoy Dreaming in Code, 24 programmers, 3 years, 4,732 bugs, and one quest for transcendent software by Scott Rosenberg. You can just remember Dreaming in Code. That's the main title. Scott Rosenberg is the author. Rich says it's a fantastic book that gives a really approachable glance into the world of software development. It covers Mitch Kapoor's attempt to create a dynamic calendar app called Chandler in the mid-2000s. As someone with no background in development or coding, it gave me some great perspective on what needs to go into creating the software I take for granted. It's kind of like a layman's The Mythical Man Month. And I think developers, those of you who do know how to code out there, will probably enjoy it too, as just seeing the trials and tribulations of someone like yourself and what they go through in order to make an app. So check it out, Dreaming in Code. I've heard a lot of good things from a lot of people about this book by Scott Rosenberg. Send your picks to feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, folks. You might hear them right here on the show. If you're like, hey, I like this thing. I wonder if anyone else likes it, or I wonder if anyone would benefit by knowing it. Send it. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. First of all, before we get to our message of the day, I want to thank everybody who's been writing in to feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. We have had amazing perspectives, great insights. You guys are killing it these days. You're the best audience in the world, and I thank you for that. I know some of you have written some really long and thoughtful emails, and I try to respond to most of those. Some of those just too long to be able to read on the show, and I apologize for that. I wish we had all the time in the world, but I didn't want you to think that if you wrote in that you haven't been read and appreciated. Alan wrote in and said, regarding congestion-based data limits, brings back the days of free nighttime and weekend minutes on cell phone service, except the congestion. Yeah, except the congestion time is probably the diametric opposite of phone service. And if more carriers started billing based on congestion in a big way, I think they will have to do something like time-based rates so that people can have some idea of whether or not their data use is counting against their cap. And like phone service, I expect it will be a temporary solution until more bandwidth is built out. My guess is the carriers were betting on living with the current system of caps during the wait, since it makes them more money. And the industry consensus seems to be that the time-based billing was confusing to customers. Really good points. I was a little bit, for a moment, taken with the idea of like, well, if it's congestion-based cap based on the time and amount of data, that makes more sense. But Alan's got a really good point. It's certainly not a panacea.
No, and it's also just not where we are obviously headed to a more unlimited situation that we kind of came from before. You know, I think we've tried the cap situation. It's untenable. It's not great customer service, and hopefully we continue to get more innovation in this space, where there are more players that are kind of beyond what it takes to set up wireless infrastructure. So, you know.
Well, so how can the ISPs monetize better? Because the whole reason they're trying this congestion-based pricing is really not because of actual congestion. It's because they want to figure out a way to, you know, make more money off their customers, which they need to do. I mean, that's what keeps people in business. That's what keeps people investing in businesses. We just don't like it when it's a lie. But what's a more acceptable way of them to say, like, here's a way to pay more and still get more and help us make more money?
All right, Tom, I'm gonna. Let's go ahead and blue sky this baby, right?
All right.
Say that they charged me more money for a better product, that they continued to offer better speeds, and they continued to make my mobile data experience something better, and then said, hey, would you like that? I would like to charge you more money for it. And I would say, yes. I feel like here's where I feel like there is going to be a switch flip at some point where we've become so in love with these services. We've become so in love with interacting with them in mobile, or if we're talking about the wired ISPs like Comcast, that we've become so enamored with streaming and stuff like that, with periscoping, that if they said, hey, $50 more on your bill and you can do more of that faster. All your web pages load faster. Everything comes down quicker. There's more. Coverage area is always kind of a trickier thing. But speeds, as I understand mobile infrastructure, which is granted in a fairly elementary way, is slightly easier to put together. You know, and just I don't know. Like, can we get back to a world where the product gets better and I just pay a premium for it?
Well, okay, and just playing the other side of the argument here. For one thing, in mobile, they already do that. It's called paying for 3G versus 4G, right? That's the way they market LTE, and it's more expensive to get LTE than to get the 3G. So they're already doing that side of it. I think the landline ISP folks have said that speeds aren't enough of a differentiator. We don't see people wanting to pay for the higher speeds at the higher price. So I'm going to throw it out to the folks out there who I know are listening, who work in the industry. What is Justin missing there? Because it does seem to make sense to say, like, hey, just give me gradations of quality of product. You know, I can get 5 megabits per second or 10 megabits per second or 100 megabits per second. Why isn't that enough to differentiate?
Or just, you know, if you're AT&T, why do I have to be living in this bizarre contractual relationship where I got to be careful whenever I upgrade my phone so I don't lose my unlimited plan? Just let me buy an unlimited plan, but put a number out on what that costs, and don't throttle me, and I will think about doing it. I think at this point it's so frustrating and nail biting whenever I buy a new phone, which is fairly often, that I'm going to accidentally be on the phone with some sales rep or something, or I'm going to be at the Apple store and accidentally lose this thing that they'll never let me have back before, that it would be worth the peace of mind to say, yeah, all right, well, just charge me a little bit more and let me live my life, because I like this experience that I have, not so much the throttling, and I want to pay for the way to do it. And to the Comcast, to the wire thing about people not wanting to do it, I think it'd be a really cool idea if you made a push for it and you just said, hey, look, it seems like people really get excited about Google Fiber. It seems like people really get excited when Time Warner and AT&T decide to flip on these super high bandwidth things. Comcast sure seems excited about rolling out these high-speed internet, and I feel like people are really excited about using it. So I don't know how much water that holds.
Yeah. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, folks. Don't throttle me, bro. Thank you, Justin Robert Young. As always, you can find him on Twitter at twitter.com/JustinRYoung. He is a purveyor of many fine podcasts, both comedic, substantial, and oftentimes, if not always, both. What are you talking about today to let folks know about?
Oh, a new episode of Night Attack just went live last night. Go ahead and check that out, nightattack.tv. I was live in studio with Brian Brushwood and Mike TV, unrelated
Mike
to
TV's great.
TV. He is amazing, and we did some really, really fun stuff. Other than that, you want to know what? Here, let me plug the morning stream. I'm there every Tuesday, which is of course the best day for the morning stream when guests of Real Substance.
No Wednesday.
But go ahead and check that out. That might be one of the most fun. It's supposed to be a 20-minute spot, and it very often kind of balloons into 45 to 50. So that's how much I love it.
It's essentially you get a whole other show in on the morning stream. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, actually, if we're talking about Scott, we just did a spoiler show for Age of Ultron. This is a very sporadic podcast that I've done with Scott, where we just talk about movies and kind of spoil the ins and outs of it. However, we had this really rad idea that from now on we want to do open lines with it, so people could just call in and discuss the film with us. If you guys check that out and you like it, there's kind of a rumbling that maybe we could do that more often. Do more of a, maybe not movie dependent, but just a geek talk radio, caller go ahead kind of show with me and Scott. So
I love the open line. That's good.
I very much like that idea, but it's really up to whether or not people want to check it out. So go ahead and check out the Age of Ultron spoiler show.
And Len Peralta has been busily drawing what looks to be my face with really large ears.
Yeah, I've been trying to draw you into all these prints, Tom, and I figured, rather than try to put you very small over in the corner, I decided to go, just straight ahead and do it. This is called The Battle for Your Ear Holes, and it's Apple and Spotify kind of battling over your ears and the space in between your mind.
I actually know both the songs you're quoting on here, too.
Yes, a little bit of Taylor Swift and a little bit of, oh man, I'm so tired.
Public Enemy?
Public Enemy, yes. Fight the power. Fight the powers that be.
Presley was a hero to some.
Elvis was a hero. Okay. So you can actually pick this up in my online store right now. But I also want to show you, since we're talking about Scott and everybody else from Frog Pants, I want to talk a little bit about my little project that you can also pick up in my online store. And I'm going to stop video here. It's called Geek a Week, everybody. Geek a Week. and the trading card, not only is it trading cards of your favorite geeks, who include
Such geeks as
Oh,
look at that, me and Brian.
Justin Robert Young and Brian Brushwood.
Scott Johnson.
We got Scott Johnson.
Brian Ibbett. Of course, our friend Sarah Lane. But also, in Season 1, you've got incredible geeks like, of course, Tom Merritt.
CNET's Tom Merritt.
That's Tom Merritt, Veronica Belmont, and some lesser-known geeks, like
Mahalo Daily,
Stan Lee, and Will Wheaton.
Nice.
And not only are they great trading cards to collect and get, but they're also a game. You can actually play a game as an expansion to a game called Epic vs. Awesome, which was designed by Mike Selinker and Kid Beyond. It's great fun. It's incredible. You all have to get it. It's terrific. And I've just sent that. If you're a Kickstarter backer, they're on their way. Almost 800 packages are making their way across the country and across the world, to be honest with you. So it's very exciting, and I can't wait to get these into more people's hands. So
geekaweek.net, folks, go take a look.
There you go. And play the game and tweet Len, because he loves the players and you love the game.
Please.
He's got a blank space, and he'll write your name on the envelope when he mails these to you personally. Your cards are likely to have been touched by Len Peralta if you order them.
And by the way, can I just say this? That some of the drawings on there are absolutely epic, and others are just adorbs. They just look fantastic.
They are not
one more
nightmares dressed as a daydream.
No.
And one more thing too. This is also my online store.
Oh, look at that!
You can actually order the images I've drawn as 8.5 by 11 full color giclées. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous.
What's a giclée?
A giclée is a high quality print. It's an 8-color process. This is pretty much the way I wanted it to look. When I get stuff printed, sometimes it's like, oh, that turned out good. These turned out precisely as I wanted them. They look exactly, and they're just this doesn't even do it justice. I know not everybody can see this, but they're brilliant. They're beautiful. You can order any one you want. You can order Tom. As a matter of fact, Tom, somebody ordered one of yours just recently. Crazy.
Weird.
Hi,
it's my face.
Can you believe it? Somebody wanted you?
I know. I can't. LenPeraltaStore.com, folks. Go check it out. GeekAweek.net. Thank you, Len Peralta. And thank you to all of our patrons. 5,037 people on Patreon. A good few hundred or more, maybe close to 1,000, just doing PayPal stuff. We've got our own store, dailytechnewsshow.com/store. And we are hovering and flying in front of the level that got us our regular contributors, and I cannot thank you enough. dailytechnewsshow.com/support for all of that information. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. Listen to the show live at tunein.alphageekradio.com and visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back on Monday with Veronica Belmont Mondays, and Ron Richards as our special guest. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom.
Boom.
Everything must go.
Every Van Gogh must go.
I love Van Gogh.
All right, so your debt is paid, Tom.
My debt?
Yeah, I paid my debt to you.
What?
When did you work in Adorbs? I didn't even notice.
Right at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
He did.
I missed it.
That's how stealth I am.
Damn. And I was, you know what? You could have not done it and I would have forgotten because I had not been thinking about it.
Well, I did forget until the very end of the show. I immediately wanted to talk about Len's art more so I could work in Adorbs.
Hey, we've got an FSL tonight, not quandary, but, we got some deadlines coming up on that.
Good boy. Yeah, no, we do. Well, the good news is I have a lot of time between now and Tuesday by my standards, which is
your own
I have a weekend.
Well, June 6th is when the season preview happens. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So we've got. It's not as bad as I was thinking just now.
No, and also we just need to figure out. Like, really, what we need to do is launch the Patreon and everything.
Yep.
Oh, did I say that we're going to do a Patreon, not a Kickstarter?
Oh, yeah, we're going to do a Patreon for FSL tonight. If you're a Patreon exhausted, don't back it. That's all we ask.
I feel like we just need like our own sort of like Valor Morghulis, like just some little like statement that just says like, dude, there's no pressure. Like, if you want to, it's fine. If not,
absolutely not. Like, if it comes down to a choice between FSL Tonight and something else, choose the other thing.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about FSL, and it's always been like this. 7 people listen to it, and they love it a lot. If you're one of those 7 people, then that's really rad.
Yeah, we pretty much do it for ourselves and those 7 people.
Yeah. But to be fair, that is the reason why we didn't want to do the Kickstarter. Just because like the difference between us last year and us this year is about 6 Patreons between us. So it's like there's just a lot that's already out there, and it's easier just to put one more if you want to take it, then go ahead, do it proposition as opposed to...
Right, and you can stop any time. Yeah. We don't have to get on the hype train. No way.
No.
Hype train for a better night's hype.
On the hype train.
This episode of Daily Tech News Show is brought to you by the Hype Train. Boo boo for a better night's hype.
Hey, do you want to do you want to rank which major tech media conglomerate might sign Bill Simmons?
Uber.
Nothing would shock me.
Actually, we need a title. Why buy the cow when you get the streams for free? When you're a streamer all the way. AMD finds it zen, and then it gets into pretty much everything else.
A show with merit, or is that the next 5 ones? Is a show with merit?
Yeah, we don't have a Who Watches the Watchers.
I do like the buy the cow when you get the streams for free. But that's just me.
It's pretty good. It's leading the way by twice the amount of TV Zegon's other submission.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
It's actually the same amount of characters as saying with Justin, Robert Young, and Len Peralta.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Isn't it?
Oh, hey, look at that.
That's an advantage. How's your mom? Did you get her something nice for Mother's Day, you guys?
No, I got to remember to call my brother to figure it out.
I will just call my mother.
My mom told me not to come over.
I'm busy with the children I love, Len.
She told me. She's like, hey, we were gonna think and come by. I mean, Sunday's gonna be tough, but how about Saturday? No, you don't have to come over. I'm like,
I've seen you plenty.
she's actually very busy. There's no way I could. I'm like, oh, well, okay.
All right.
Well.
I sent my mom a cheese and crackers basket, and she loved it. She sent me a lovely text with emoticons, with emojis. She's using emojis.
Well, that's cool. I got my mom likes to comment on my Facebook. I don't think she's graduated to emojis yet. I was thinking about getting her an Apple Watch, which will probably arrive to her before mine does. Not upset.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, Justin, because I know it doesn't matter to you.
No, I'm not upset about it. That's what you're
No.
asking. I'm just not.
All right, I gotta go figure out what's going on with my kids.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Right.
It's not you,
No,
Len.
not in a bad
it's
way.
your kids.
Not in a bad way. I just, usually they come home from school. I'm like, I gotta
Go
go.
back to the future, Len. We understand.
All right.
Go hop on your hover skateboard.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day, Len. Tell Nora Happy Mother's Day from me. She's a good mom.
I will. I will let her know. And
All
thank you for that. And everybody have a beautiful weekend. Get out there and enjoy the weekend.
Enjoy your mother.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Say hi to your mother for me.
Say hi to your mother for me. Say hi to the mother of your children for me.
All right, guys. Well, I'm out of here.
All right, fine. I'm almost done. Jeez. Yeah, it's not like you're tired. I don't understand why you want to go.
Oh, I'm fired up now. Now that I woke up, this third time was the charm. Waking up on this Friday, you know.
Honestly, one of the main reasons I do this show is to give you a reason to get up.
I probably would have slept clear till 5 o'clock.
Yeah, would you?
Yeah. I'm not a good napper. I very rarely nap.
When you sleep, you sleep all the way.
That was a good old nap.
Nice.
But I got to go down to Jack London because we're working on a card game with some really, really, really talented friends of ours.
That sounds intriguing.
Excited to work on it. So
awesome. Well, go, man. Have fun.
See you, folks.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye. I'm just going to sit here and upload the show.
Woohoo. And then you'll let me know, and I'll paste in the rest.
Exactly. That's how it works, folks. Oh, and if you're wondering where Jenny Josephson is, she is headed out to a graduation. So she won't be here today, obviously, or Monday. She'll be back on Tuesday. And then next week, I'm headed to a graduation. So I won't be around, but we'll have guest hosts. In fact, Roger and Jenny are going to host along with Darren next Friday.
Yes. I remember. I just said, don't... Just said, you must be here for this day in my calendar. I forgot what it was for.
You're going to read headlines.
Woo.
That's what you're going to do. And make delicious cocktails for Darren. You should go over and do it at the Hack 5 warehouse. That'd be funny.
It'll be funny?
It'd be funny. Hilarious.
You know, every time I go there, I get lost.
Get lost trying to get there?
It's
because there's that one road that like runs into another road. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then like the first few times,
it doesn't make any sense if you don't know what we're talking about. But.
Yeah, I just keep driving by. It's like, you got to flip a U, and then it's got to list it again, flip another U. I've done that.
It's like these two roads come in at a hyper acute angle.
Yeah, they don't intersect in a perpendicular fashion.
No, and you have to turn, which is actually more like a U-turn, really.
Yeah, because of the driveway or the ramp into it.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't seem normal. It seems like you should only be able to access it from the other side of the road. That's what throws you off.
Mm-hmm. This may be our longest title yet. It's certainly a very long URL. I hope this doesn't break anybody's podcatcher. I always feel bad for those folks who are like, yeah, but I'm using, this ancient piece of freeware along with a script that I wrote, and it broke that. I'm like, yeah, that's something I didn't plan for. But usually it works for everybody. So.
Beach baby, do 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 do.
How'd you get Beach Baby in there?
I don't know.
Sounds like something Jen did to you. Not Jenny Josephson, but
my wife.
Yeah.
Maybe. She's sleeping with the baby.
Why buy the cow when you get the streams for free is the title. Showbot reminder. And as soon as I check this audio, we're done. We're done here. See, yeah, TVZ Gun's got his bash script going through his links browser to do a get command on the files. And then when I put emojis in there, it really messes it up.
Well, that's why you should use a consumer OS.
Okie dokie. You're working for the man, Roger. Don't try to keep me down with your proprietary software.
I think all except one time I've worked exclusively for men. It's a very gender biased.
You know what? I've mostly worked for women, actually. Interestingly enough.
Actually, no.
Okay, that's it. We're out of here. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Hasta luego.